As the world's population continues to grow, we're faced with the need for faster development and rapid construction on a massive scale. The building design and construction process is one that has relatively stayed the same for hundreds, if not thousands of years. An architect or designer would create a vision for a structure, a civil engineer would create all the necessary supports and functions, and a crew of builders would ultimately construct the house or building. It seems simple. But one thing that the tried and tested process doesn't have on its hands is time. When time and efficiency become the driving constraint for construction, like what's being seen in areas experiencing rapid growth, oftentimes, the only solution is manufactured housing lacking in originality and architectural beauty. There is a place for a double-wide or a single-wide concept of manufactured homes, but adapting to the mass population has never been the intended use. Rather than this form of housing manufacturing, the construction building, design and construction industry will shift to a more wide-scale mass production industry. We're already seeing trends of this emerge. Like when China had to build a hospital in record time, they used prefabricated wall structures leaned up together to create one building as fast as possible. That said, the buildings traditionally made in these prefabricated structures are rather boxy and not very interesting, but the industry will soon come to see that one can still be focused on architectural beauty and originality, but the processes can be driven by manufacturability and speed. Much like how 3D printing and other additive techniques are inflating the mechanical engineer's world in product design, so too is relatively rapid prototyping infiltrating the construction industry. There are any number of ways one can create a structure using scalable components. Buildings can utilize large-scale concrete or brick house 3D printing machines, although their practicality for widespread use is currently still lacking. What the world will start to see is more of a system of construction building blocks, a standard, if you will, for fully custom construction, housing, all using similar pieces. This slowly emerging trend in the construction industry is further picking up speed. We're beginning to see skyscrapers built in a matter of days and weeks, as opposed to years using traditional methods. The trend is becoming pre-manufactured as somewhat uniform structural sections used in large-scale construction projects. Most notably, we see these pre-manufactured part methods being used in places like China, like we mentioned before, where the population is experiencing exponential growth. For the better part of history, construction has relied on the trades, bricklayers, masons, builders, and many others to bring an architectural design into fruition. Not to say the trades are dying, in fact, quite the opposite. But rather, when time is a driving factor in construction, there simply isn't enough time to rely on human tradesmen. Engineers and builders, for that matter, are turning to construction techniques like tilt-up building, where walls are cast in large slab sections on the ground and lifted into place. This technique allows sections hundreds of feet in length to be raised in a matter of hours. The key to understanding mass production techniques being implemented in building construction is that even though time is becoming a driving factor, buyers still want originality. To adapt to this, construction techniques are using styles similar to how one might play with Legos. There are standard sections and methods that ultimately fit together easily to create a greater structure. But therein can be customization. As large-scale 3D printing techniques for buildings mature, the industry may start seeing more designers utilizing these methods. In terms of feasibility, additive techniques have been proven on a small scale. But sizing up the methods to the size of a house or office building is another matter entirely. Much like how the Industrial Revolution created a variety of processes that sped up the manufacturing industry, so today we're going to start seeing a construction revolution, which is speeding up our ability to engineer dwellings to meet the growing population and need for new structures. The residential new construction sector, which includes single-family as well as multifamily, is forecast to slow down by the early 2020s. The multifamily industry projects the slowdown to be at least 30% of the total starts. While we're all happy that starts continue to grow at least 5% every year, loading our manufacturing lines, the trend is about to change. One forecast to keep in mind is that the repair and remodel (RANDR) sector will continue to outpace new construction as there continues to be untapped potential. As you put together your strategic plan, make sure you're preparing for the new construction softness by immediately putting additional resources on RANDR. You have no one to blame if you don't listen to and address the looming signs. There are 9.6b reasons we should be thinking differently about the housing industry. By 2050, it's projected that more than 2B people will be added to today's world population. In the US alone, our population of 328m is forecasted to increase every year by 2.3m people until 2030, surpassing 400m sometime shortly after 2050. To house these additional people, we will need nearly 800m more housing units across the world, assuming a current 2.6 people per unit average. In the US, the 72m incremental population growth will require 27m more homes, not including homes that deteriorate to be non-occupiable within that roughly 30-year timeframe. Today, the US struggles to find enough labor to even build 1.3m homes and remodel several million more. And we currently struggle to find the land for builders/developers that can afford to develop it. I learned early in my career, focus on what you can control, and it will make solving the challenge easier. We know there is nothing we can do about the population growth, unless we take China's approach. That's why we must address the approaching housing shortage and make it part of your long-term strategic planning process, so you can address how to leverage the opportunity it will most definitely create. Land is available in certain locations. The industry just needs to identify how people want to live. It's forecast that multifamily, especially in urban living environments, will continue to grow. By definition, this means that multifamily housing will increase given the landlocked areas available in urban locations. Experts forecast that mix to continue and perhaps grow with the changing demographics on both sides, including more boomers downsizing to walkable communities and more millennials wanting less square footage and walkability to shops and entertainment. There is immense innovation happening in the construction industry, and with new technology hitting the market constantly, there is a large opportunity for growth and an increase in productivity. Various roadblocks keep the industry from adopting these technologies more readily, but their hesitation can largely be attributed to the upfront investment that comes with implementing new technology. Within 10 years, according to our estimates, full-scale digitalization will lead to huge annual global cost savings. For non-residential construction, those savings will be $0.7 trillion to $1.2 trillion, 13% to 21%, in the design and engineering and construction phases, and $0.3 trillion to $0.5 trillion, 10% to 17%, in the operations phase. Note that the productivity gains will vary not only across the life cycle phases, but also across the subsectors, vertical, industrial, and infrastructure. To understand the present and future of construction technology, it is best to understand the seismic shift in technological adoption over the past few years. According to McKinsey & Company, investment in construction technology has more than doubled in the past decade. McKinsey found that investors put $25 billion into engineering and construction technology from 2014 to 2019. The industry saw approximately $8 billion from investors from 2008 to 2013. That influx of money is partially responsible for the rapid rise of building information modeling, BIM, a technical tool that makes it possible for buildings to be rendered digitally and allows A/E/C professionals to more efficiently design, build, and operate an actual building itself. BIM is essentially a digital twin of the project, Berger said, and it represents a working model on the job site that the foreman and superintendent can interact with to help reduce project risk. Today's construction industry is quite different than what existed just a few decades ago. These days, it is much less common to see workers hauling around rolls of hand-drawn blueprints, punching numbers into printing calculators, or fiddling with slide rules. Records and plans are now created and stored digitally. Workers use new, more efficient tools, and many on the construction site are equipped with various types of smart devices and handheld technologies. The workforce demographic makeup looks different too.